this is TV Talk with Natasha and Kim. I'm Natasha. Say hello, Kim.
Hi.
And we are going to be reviewing for you Grimm episode 6. Is that 6?
I think so, yeah.
The stories that we tell. Is that the name of the episode?
You're doing better than me. I can't remember the name of the episode.
We just totally went blank. That is so bad.
It's okay.
Yeah, stories we tell are young. There we go.
Yay.
So Kim will be doing the summary, and then we'll talk about the show.
Okay, guys, I'm going to try to do a quick summary. We're going to start with Nick's story, all right? So starts off with an exorcism, so-called exorcism. There's this kid. His name is Daniel, and he's lying on this makeshift bed, and they're trying to do an exorcism, and he ends up knocking out a seminary student and killing a priest. His face changes. It's not really a Volga, but his face changes. So Nick and Wu and Hank get assigned to the case. Nick finds the kid hiding when they go in there. They think the kid's missing, but he's actually hiding in that same room. Finds him, takes him to the hospital. The parents go to the hospital too, and Nick thinks it could be Vesson, but he talks to the parents, and they don't seem to be Vesson. So he goes and he talks to Monroe and Rosalie, and he's like, okay, so how does it work? What if one parent is a Vesson and the other parent is not? What's the kid? And they explain it to him. I got confused about that part, but we'll talk about that later. So in the meantime, a nurse comes in, tries to take blood from the kid, and he completely freaks out. His face changes, and she runs out screaming. Nick and Hank run in, and they see it, and they're like, okay, that's not normal. And so they go back and they talk to Monroe and Rosalie, and they tell them it sounds like it's a Grozen, which is something that's happened in the past, where they think a spirit kind of infects these kids, and they're usually dealt with their council by killing those kids. So Rosalie's like, we have to tell the council, it's our law. And so she does that. Now, Nick goes and, of course, consults his books, and with Juliet, too. So she's part of Scooby Gang. I like that. And Juliet's like, I don't think that's it. I think it's a virus or a parasite. So Juliet goes with Nick to talk to the parents. Asks if the kid's been sick, what happened a year ago when this started. They went to the Middle East, went to Jordan. Kid got the flu. Juliet's like, I don't know. I think it might be a parasite. And so the council members are informed by Rosalie. They send one of their council representatives to Portland. He shows up at Monroe and Rosalie's house, says, where's the kid? Rosalie has to tell him because it's their law. They have to obey by those laws. Monroe gives Nick the heads up. They run to the hospital. The kid's checked out. It's taken home. So they run over to his house. The council member is there and attacks the kid. The kid, of course, fights back, jumps out the window, runs into the woods. Council member runs after him. Nick and Hank run out into the woods after them. And Nick subdues the council member, runs after, and Hank watches him. Nick runs after the boy. The boy gets so cold because it's so cold outside, and he runs through water and everything. And he's just in his pajamas. He gets so cold he goes into hypothermia, and this kills the parasite. It actually comes out of his nose. It's disgusting, all that jazz. And that's basically what happens. Nick takes that information, gives it to the council member, says, get out of Portland, and that's basically what happens with that story. Now, Renard, in the beginning, he goes on vacation, he calls it, to Vienna. It seems like there's this massive meeting since his brother's death with all these members that he has to be there for. But I guess it's not well known that he's there, or he doesn't want people to know that he's there, so he's in a hideout, per se, like a safe house, but it's not so safe because it gets attacked in the middle of the night by what they call a Farut. There's these guys that had this symbol on their hands. But of course, Renard and the guy that he's with that put him in the safe house get away. And during this time, too, we see Queen Bee, who must not be named, gets a call saying the new prince would like to meet with you, and she walks into a room, and there's this guy saying, I've been looking forward to meeting you, but you don't see his face, so we don't know who the new prince is. Maybe in the 2-hour season finale next week. So that is a recap in a nutshell. I hope I did that quick enough. Now we're going to basically discuss what we liked about this show and what we didn't like about this show. So, Natasha, let's start with Nick's story, because that took up most of the show. What did you like about it?
I definitely liked the birds and the bees talk with Rosalie and Monroe. You definitely got some more terminology that kind of went very fast, so I had to look it up on Grimm Wikia. And I'm just like, alrighty, because with Grimm Wikia, shout out to them, they actually have like the pronunciation too. So I'm just like, I need help.
Can you explain it? Because I was totally lost, and when we edit this, I'll put up the words behind you while you're explaining it. But
for sure. All right. So how Monroe and Rosalie explained it was, of course, 100% Wesson, like one type of Wesson is called Wesson. Their Corsetti, I think that's pronounced correct, is, I guess, like a human, and it's like when that's mixed with Wesson, it's kind of like a 50% chance that the baby will become a Wesson. And then you have Corsette Guntrager, which is 100% Wesson. A Corsetti can also be called a Corsetti Guntrager, and it's a really they don't know what's going to happen with the baby. It could become whatever. And then you have the Grunschfalsch, which is a mixed Wesson relationship, which is what Monroe and Rosalie are in. And so whenever they have a baby, it's going to be called a Vorherrsch, and they just want to make sure that it's healthy, and whatever the dominant Wesson is, that's what the baby's going to be, pretty much. So that's it in a nutshell. I hope I did a pretty good job. Of course, Monroe and Rosalie did a better job, but that's how I understood it.
Well, you explained it to me, because I didn't get what they were saying at all. I was like, I'm so lost. So thank you for clearing that up.
Well, that's, again, all thanks to Grimm Wikia. Like, they had that on point. Like, I'm like, all right. And it was funny when Hank was like, yeah, we want to know. And Nick was like, oh, well, we don't want to get all up in your business. Hank was like, no, we do. Yeah. We want to know.
Yeah, Hank is getting some, those lines that usually are saved for Woo. Hank's getting
They were saved for Hank this episode. I do agree with Rosalie that they had to tell the council. I know that some fans were like, no, that was a bad idea, but the reasons that she gave were valid reasons. Like, again, if they didn't mention it to the council and it was obvious that they knew about it, then they would have been dead. And so Rosalie was not having that. She wanted to protect herself and Monroe, so she had to do what she had to do. But at least, again, with Monroe, they gave Nick the heads up, and he totally understood. Like, he was like, okay, I feel you. I totally get it. He was not, like, mad at them or anything. So, I think her decision was a solid one. I do hope that they explore that a little bit more. They kind of gave that a hint, because the councilman was like, well, we're going to continue monitoring the boy, and then, of course, Nick, because they were like, Nick's a little bit different. And I really thought that it was cool that even Nick was kind of like backed up, because he's not usually scared when he sees other Wesson, but when he saw the boy, he was like, oh, what? Oh, Lord. It was like when Nick backs up, something's up, and he was just like, all right, crazy. And I'm loving Juliet, her contribution. You got a hint of that in season 1, so just seeing her actually able to contribute, knowing what she knows, that's cool. And I think that it definitely saved the boy's life, because with tradition, sometimes it's hard to change, and so the Wesson Council needed a wake-up call that it wasn't, with medicine and technology now, they were able to figure out what was really causing why wild grousing exists. And I don't want to go to the Jordan.
Ever.
If that's the case, like, I'm not trying to get a protozoa. I'm like, I'm staying away from the Jordan.
Well, I don't understand, like, it's kind of weird because they said it usually only affects children, so I'm like, were children only the ones ever near that, like, Jordan? That doesn't make any sense to me, but
True.
I liked how Nick handled it, where he said, I like to think we live in an age of enlightenment. He's talking to the council member, and the council member was like, well, I'm going to need to monitor the boy, and he's like, no, you're not. You're going to take my word for it, and you're going to take my word for it because of the charter of 1682, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'm like, wow.
Like, he was dropping it. He was dropping the agreements and whatnot.
No, Nick just threw down the gauntlet. I was like, wow. Well done, Nick. Well done.
Well, yeah, and I'm really happy that he's actually getting to write his own experiences in his little Grimm book, like his Grimm family book. I thought that was so adorable. And Juliet was part of it. She was, like, helping them spell stuff. I thought that was really cute at the end.
I do like that. I do like how they're involving her more into it. So, because I was worried in the beginning. I was like, what are they going to do with her character, you know? But I'm really glad they're involving her and everything. I want to know more about what is going on with Renard, like, and we got to see, like, more of, like, politic-wise this time, even though they didn't show that much of Renard, we got to see a lot of politics on both sides because we saw part of the council, and the law that we've seen before, with Rosalie's brother, we've heard about it, but, in what's going on with Renard, like, he had to go there for that meeting, but he can't let anybody know that he's there, so he's in hiding. So I'm like, I want to know a little bit more. I mean, I know they're out to, I believe they're out to get him, but I don't actually understand why. And I don't know if all the fans out there do, and I'm just completely lost, or if they haven't explained that much of it.
Well, Grimm did a video, actually, about what we know about the royals so far, and we don't know too much other than Renard is the half-brother, a part of, like, one of the royal families. There's more than one, and the fact that the royal families have the key, which they haven't really brought up at all this season, they're going to have to get back to it eventually, because Renard was assigned to try and get it from Nick, at least all through season 2. So they're going to have to go back to that eventually. Just what role they really have there. They're pretty much ruling society from Europe. And there's a lot of infighting, as you can see from the fact that Renard, A, had to kill his brother, and B, what the guy that he was with was mentioning about some of the other people that, you know, they were name dropping, even though you had no clue who they were. Yeah. But the fact that someone settled a dispute and one of them's dead, so that's how they settle disputes within the royal families. So I'm just like, what politics are they really working with here? So I want to know more. And because they Renard mentioned, like, his mom and the fact that they were on the run, like, when he was little, I'm like, what qualifies them to actually go after each other? Is like a dog eat dog, where it's like whoever wins gets to rule? Like, I'm not understanding this.
Well, I mean, I think they had mentioned before that he was on the run because his father had an affair with his mother, and that's why he was born. So he was, I mean, and that's looked down upon. And I thought that kind of got settled. They were both allowed to get older, so but he still seems like he seems really wary of his brother, and so I don't know, like, I don't know what's going on there. I thought they were all going there for the meeting to decide what happens next, but now there's a new crown prince, so what was the point of the meeting? I don't know. I hope they go into more depth next week, and I think they will from the previews. Yeah. So I'm interested in to find out a little bit more about that.
Yeah, they were mentioning, like, some kind of family reunion, and what was I? There was another point I wanted to make, and I totally went blank.
Oh, it happens. It might come back to you though. So don't even worry about it. But next week's 2-hour fall finale. It is that time of year again, ladies and gentlemen. It is the fall finale for a lot of shows and the beginning of a lot of new shows. So Grimm is going to be a 2-hour fall finale. So we're going to do a show on that. It's probably going to be a little bit longer than our normal show just because we're going to have 2 hours worth of content to talk about. And I'm hoping a lot of questions are answered. Now I know it's going to be a cliffhanger. They've already said it's going to be a cliffhanger. So we might have some more questions that pop up, but maybe some of them will be answered. Maybe finally Queen Bee will get her powers back and we can talk about her and call her by name.
I'm not holding my breath.
I would like to know if the brother is still alive because I'm starting to get weary here.
You said you were gonna wait. I don't know if I can wait that long. So
I think I can. Well, let's see what happens in this 2-hour episode. That might sway the way I think. I don't know yet. So we will see about that. So look for that review coming up soon. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit longer because it's going to be 2 hours. Once Grimm goes on hiatus, though, I don't know, Natasha, what should we do? I think we should talk about some more shows. Maybe.
Well, I mean, we're definitely watching some other shows. We definitely live tweet a lot of other shows, like Once Upon a Time. Now, granted, we don't live tweet Scandal, but we do watch the show.
We love Scandal.
And there's a lot of stuff happening on that show that's just, woo! I'm like OMGing like every 5 minutes here, guys. We're going to have a panel discussion, a special on Scandal. Okay?
Yeah. So we're going to have a couple specials coming up for you, and we might introduce some new shows. We've got some new shows starting in January that are going to be pretty cool, so we might start talking about that. So it might not be all Grimm going forward, but we will still talk about Grimm, of course. And so look for some changes coming to TV Talk with Natasha and Kim. It's going to be really fun, though.
Yep, we love TV.
If you love TV, DVR is the best thing ever invented.
Exactly. And the fact that you can, like, tape more than one show is definitely a bonus.
I think they all should be able to tape 5 shows because this whole 2 thing is not working for me.
It's not working. Not working.
Yep. Okay, guys, that was our recap and our discussion on the latest episode of Grimm. If you guys have any comments, go ahead and write them below. You can always tweet us. I'm at anime23. We're both at The Nerd Element. And Natasha?
Willcat12, WILLCAT12. We're also on Facebook. We can talk there. Google Plus. You know, we're
everywhere. We're even on Pinterest. So search by The Nerd Element. The Nerd Element. And you will find us. All right, guys. We will see you next week for our big fall finale episode.
Yeah, there's definitely some Wesson. Ooh, Lord.
Yep. All right, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye.